You're watching Live Now from Fox. I'm Shirley Descorbath. Well, volunteers from the nonprofit organization Paws of War are on the ground in Florida helping in the aftermath of Hurricane Ian. They focus on helping veterans, also with emotional support dogs. Well, joining us right now is the co-founder, Robert Messery. Robert, thank you so much for joining us. Tell us, what areas is Paws of War helping in, and what kind of devastation have you all seen?
So the devastation is something that is beyond, unless you're physically seeing it. From the Fort Myers area, Pine Islands, all that surrounding areas that are really affected. We're going into areas that actually, some of the areas that we first went into, there were no teams or emergency personnel that had gone there yet. We're finding veterans, disabled veterans that are in need of medical devices such as oxygen machines that require power. Many of them are on insulin that requires refrigeration. One veteran has a disabled son who he's 22 years old. He needs multiple medical devices, a strict diet. He has a severe muscular dystrophy disorder, electric wheelchair to move around. So power to them is life altering versus somebody who has no lights and has to just walk around with a flashlight. So the first thing was to get on the ground with generators, and that's what we did. We got them powered so that they can have all those. They're not luxuries, they're necessities, such as an oxygen machine. That was the first priority for us as an organization. And then to get those who wouldn't leave their properties because of animals. And all of these people actually had animals. So that was something that we were focusing on as well. But just having a service animal, companion animal, they didn't leave. They didn't want to leave with their animal. And we're getting them everything they need, from veterinary care to food, anything that they need necessary for the animal. And then, of course, for themselves. The destruction is horrific. Some of them are living with half their sides of their homes gone. It's disturbing to see. But for our veterans who are suffering from PTSD, who have a disability, many of these veterans were struggling way before the storm hit. And this storm just multiplied it by 1,000 for them.
Yes, thank you so much for elaborating on that. That actually is one of the questions that I wanted to ask you regarding on veterans with PTSD. I'm pretty sure that a situation like a hurricane possibly is a trigger for them. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, absolutely. Something of this nature, their whole life being uprooted, knowing that you don't have electricity, knowing you don't have your necessary medical equipment is a really dangerous trigger for them. So we had one veteran who actually was functioning. She just needed a sleep apnea machine, but she was a nurse at the VA hospital, and she was getting to work no matter what because she needed to help others. She had no power. She has a sleep apnea machine, severe sleep apnea. So, and it runs the gamut. But, and again, she's a disabled veteran. PTSD for something simple as a sleep apnea could really throw your triggers off and put you in a bad spot, in a very dark place.
Okay, and let's talk about our little furry friends. I know that you guys focus on that as well. Obviously, I'm speaking about the animals, the pets, the dogs here. How does that all come into play in this dire situation, and how does Paws of War work with them and the veterans?
So equally, because our slogan here is helping both ends of the leash. The animal is so critical to that veteran and vice versa. So we want to make sure that the animal is safe, healthy after this, that, access real toxic waters, things of that nature. Some of them have, some of them need, special baths because they have just toxic water on them. And we want to make sure everything is back, the structure is getting back to where they were. The dog is performing the way it's supposed to be, whether it's an emotional support dog or a service animal. And what we're finding is the surrounding areas, you have veterans that were feeding just feral cats. and we're searching for missing cats. We're finding babies, we're finding kittens. So it just keeps going. So you have a veteran whose life was those 6 cats that he fed for 7 years, and they're missing, and we're struggling to try to find them. We found 3 so far, and we found a litter of kittens, and we're not giving up until we find all of them, hopefully. So there's always something else around it that's animal related that we're part of.
Let's talk about the volunteers with your organization. Are some of them veterans, and what kind of impact has going into this devastating situation, some of the hardest hit areas in Florida, what kind of impact has this had on them?
So Michael Colano, who was one of our first veterans to say, I want to do this, he himself suffers from PTSD. He himself has a service animal, and he was the first one to jump on that truck and get down there. And it's a big triumph for him, because just 6 months ago, he had a hard time just going out in public. So he got on the ground to his fellow veterans, and he was the first one to get into the mix, starting those generators. It's going to affect him because of the fact that it was quick. He does have PTSD, and he'll never forget having to be put into those situations. And I say put into those situations, a natural disaster put him in that position, like everyone else. But because he has PTSD, it'll stay with him forever. It will definitely stay with him forever. But he did a great job helping other veterans.
Okay. So one more time, can you tell us what are the greatest needs that you are seeing for veterans during the disaster, obviously the devastation in Florida?
So right now, the greatest needs are moving into securing the homes better, getting lumber. There's windows blown out, half of some of these modular homes missing. So we're trying to get lumber. We're trying to get more generators. Some people have power on, and then little pockets still don't. We just got a big shipment of cat and dog food, thank God. And monetary donations, just keeping our people going, and everything else that we have to purchase is a critical part of what we're doing.
All right, Robert. So tell us, how can people learn more about Paws of War and contribute to the cause?
Thank you, Shirley. So if they want to volunteer, get involved, be boots on the ground, or make a donation. If they can't, they can go to pawsofwar.org, and they can make a donation right there, and that will go directly to the relief.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for your efforts in Florida. People there, I'm sure that they appreciate it, and for your time here on Live Now from Fox.
Thank you, Shirley. Thank you for having us.